Television.
Coming up, business sponsored by
IWS Aviation.
A very good evening and a warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Mariam Vijayaratna. Let's have a look at the headlines first. Headline: inflation decreases in February 2023. Forecast on the rupee indicates further appreciation. News in detail. Headline inflation, as measured by the year-on-year change in the Colombo Consumer Index, decreased to 50.6% in February 2023. This is as reported by the Communications Department of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The decline in the headline inflation is broadly in line with the disinflation path envisaged by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka in January 2023. The non-food inflation increased to 48.8% in February 2023 from 47.9% in January 2023. The monthly change of CCPI recorded at 0.47% in February 2023 due to the price increases observed in items of non-food category, which was 1.20%. However, the food category recorded a monthly decline of 0.74%. The core inflation, which reflects the underlying inflation in the economy, decreased to 43.6% in February 2023 from 45.6% in January 2023. Looking ahead, based on the latest macroeconomic projections of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka and available information, the anticipated declining trend of inflation is expected to continue through 2023. This is expected to be supported by subdued demand conditions owing to tight monetary and fiscal policy measures. It will also be driven by anticipated improvements in domestic supply conditions as well as a favorable statistical base effect. The inflation fan chart illustrates the uncertainty surrounding the baseline projections using confidence bands of gradually fading colors. Given the prevailing domestic and global economic uncertainties and geopolitical tensions, the risks associated with the current projections are much higher than in normal times. Substantial deterioration of the purchasing power could offset some upward pressures on inflation, exerting downside risks to its projections. The government has decided to expedite the finalization of proposed preferential trade agreement under the guidance of the International Trade Office. The proposal to this effect, submitted by the President Ranil Wickremesinghe, was recently approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. Once finalized, Bangladesh will be the third South Asian country with which Sri Lanka has a free of preferential trade arrangement after India and Pakistan, both of which have helped enhance bilateral trade. It is expected to strengthen regional trade relationships with key stakeholders to develop market access opportunities for Sri Lankan exporters by removing trade barriers. The move aims to achieve the objectives of attracting investment as well as to further enhance economic cooperation to remedy existing problems related to domestic supply. The Cabinet of Ministers also cleared a proposal to submit draft regulations under Sri Lanka Export Development Act No. 40 of 1979 to the Parliament. The value of insurance and shipping charges, the cess tax, has been revised on the sub-quantities of precise units on selected goods under 677 combined classification codes. The decision was taken given the impact of the rupee depreciation as well as the cost of the global market. Further, the government has appointed a 5-member ministerial committee to expedite investigations into goods detained by the Sri Lankan Customs. The committee was appointed on the directions of President Ranil Wickremesinghe due to prolonged customs investigations. It will study all related matters, identify amendments that need to be made to the customs ordinance, and present recommendations to the Cabinet of Ministers. The proposal to this effect, submitted by Minister of Ports, Shipping and Aviation Nimal Siripala de Silva, was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. The Cabinet of Ministers at its meeting on Monday further approved the opening of the aviation fuel market to allow new entrants for competitive pricing. The proposal to this effect was submitted by Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara. The Cabinet of Ministers accepts as appropriate to allow supply of aviation fuel under maximum limits by parties who supply the fuel to other countries. This aim of these limits is not to hinder the supply of fuel produced at Sabugaskanda refinery of Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Analysts point out that jet fuel is a key profit-earning sector for the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, thus the rationale to open the market was unclear. The shortage of foreign exchange remains the key issue for the worsening economic crisis and Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. Additionally, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved exploring nuclear power as an alternative to address power generation. According to the spokesperson for the Cabinet of Ministers, Bandunu Gudawardena, a total of 9 operational and working committees were appointed to study the ability to adopt it with support from Russia. Government looks at Russia for cutting-edge nuclear technology and financial support for the endeavour. It has been recognized that going forward it is preferable to become party to the Vienna Convention on Civil Liability for Nuclear Damage and the Convention on Supplementary Compensation for Nuclear Damage. Thus, a joint cabinet paper by the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of Power and Energy in this regard was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. Meanwhile, the Cabinet of Ministers also approved a pilot project to introduce solar-powered electric buses. The operation of electric buses by the Sri Lanka Transport Board is expected to reduce the country's dependence on imported fossil fuels. Further, it was decided that there will be no social security contribution levy imposed on purchasing of paddy, production and sale of rice. Stay tuned, we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Businesses in this day and age require the best communication solutions to be connected anywhere and anytime. Our technologically advanced long-distance radio devices operate even in the most challenging and harsh environments, designed for dust, water, and drop resistance. The push-to-talk function is designed for convenience, ensuring clear and uninterrupted communication between multiple devices. Dynacom Engineering, a subsidiary of IWS Holdings, is a licensed service provider of the best push-to-talk long-distance wireless communication systems, approved by the TRC and the Ministry of Defence.
Welcome back after the break. NDB Securities forecasts that the rupee is likely to further appreciate in the near term following the recent spike. In a recent research note, it said that Sri Lankan rupee has appreciated against the US dollars by 0.9% since the 23rd of February 2023. Analyzing reasons for the development, NDB Securities said the average daily volume in the interbank foreign exchange market is now at 42 million US dollars. It is also said that the central bank has been net buyer from the foreign exchange market in the last 3 months from 6 million US dollars in November to 104 million US dollars in December and 211 million US dollars in January. The central bank also reduced the superintendent requirement for export proceeds on the 27th of February 2023. The NDB Securities maintains that this further strengthens foreign exchange market liquidity. The central bank also reduced the export proceeds surrender requirement to 15% from the previous 25%. On the 27th of February, the central bank expanded the daily trading band to plus or minus 5 rupees of the middle spot exchange rate. This used to be plus or minus 2.6 rupees before. NDB Securities maintains, as per its channel checks, banks are flush with foreign exchange liquidity. Some of the contributory reasons for this, according to NDB Securities, were foreign exchange conversion by exporters in anticipation of a further appreciation of the rupee, a drop in importer demand, and a decline in current account deficit. NDB Securities said the decline in current account deficit is due to multiple reasons. One was the dwindling trade balance. In January 2023, the trade deficit halved year on year to $410 million. Another is the increase in tourism inflows and remittance flows. In January 2023, the former increased by 7% and the latter rose by 69% year on year. In terms of portfolio flows, it said last week saw 7 billion rupees net foreign inflow to the government securities market. In an attempt to woo a fraction of the $10 billion travel market of India, Dentsu Grand Group recently launched an integrated campaign called "And You Thought You Knew Sri Lanka." The campaign is a joint effort together with the Sri Lanka Association of Inbound Tour Operators and the Hotels Association of Sri Lanka. The campaign is pro bono work from Dentsu Group of Sri Lanka and Dentsu India to support the revival of the tourism industry. It is being executed after comprehensive research to lure young Indian professionals in the age group of 31 to 36 from Bangalore. With Sri Lanka having all ingredients to be a short-haul adventure destination, the promotion aims to feature lesser-known attractions that will offer brand-new experiences. It targets to young Indian professionals looking for fun and inspiring getaways with authentic experiences. Speaking at the event, Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle said it is time for greater cooperation on two-way tourism with sizable ties and bonds. The High Commissioner suggested expanding religious tourism as it would further boost arrivals, income and cultural values. Tourism Minister Harin Fernando commended the proactive private sector effort to reinvigorate the sector and thanked to India for its support. FLATO President Nishad Fernando expressed confidence in product offerings through the campaign for younger Indian professionals. THASL President M. Santikumar expects the initiative will help revive the tourism sector and exceed past figures by the end of this year. Dentsu Group Chairperson Neela Marikar said they wanted to craft novel experiences for a younger audience about the amazing aspects of Sri Lanka. Marikar also said following campaign feedback, they plan to launch similar campaigns targeting Delhi and Mumbai in the next phase. A website www.andyouthoughtyouknewsrilanka.com was also launched by the dignitaries. It gives a synopsis of what to expect in Sri Lanka. The Raigam Teles Secretariat proudly declares the 19th encounter of Raigam Teles to appreciate the telecreations telecast during the calendar year 2022. The nomination evening for the event was recently held at the Water's Edge Hotel. Annually, many cinema and television festivals are held to uplift the quality, creativity and dedication of artists, producers and institutions. Further, these festivals result in setting benchmarks for the industry. In 2005, Raigam Teles was launched by the Raigam Group of companies. Today, after being conducted consecutively for 18 years, Raigam Teles has become the most prominent television festival in Sri Lanka. At the preceding festival, Raigam Teles introduced a new category to recognize the most viewed television programs. The new category was introduced to recognize programs based on an island-wide research supervised by Professor Lakshman Disanayake. Raigam Teles award ceremony consists of two grand ceremonies, namely the nomination evening and the grand awards night. Bring international flavor, Raigam Teles introduced the nomination evening to declare the nominees for awards in advance. All the nominees are gifted with a hospitalization and life insurance covers worth 100,000 and 1 million rupees respectively for 1 year. Grand Award Ceremony is an event where all key personnel including veterans, celebrities, channel heads and technical crews meet annually to recognize their fellow artists and also for fellowship. Apart from the Raigam Teles trophy and credentials, winners of each award are granted a sizable cash award, the Sampath Mudal Tilina, throughout the partnership with Sampath Bank and the Alliance Rakshana Tilina, an insurance gift sponsored by Alliance Insurance Limited. Raigam Telis covers all the aspects of television performance and issues awards across 7 categories: jury awards, television media, teledramas, most popular, most viewed, awards of appreciation and media channels. We'll be right back with the stock updates. Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained 111.09 points to close at 9,444.92, and the S&P SL 20 gained 9.04 points to close at 2,838.18. The turnover was 2.8 billion rupees and over 93 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all we have for tonight. For this and more, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Have a great weekend. Take care and good night.
State of Business was sponsored